Welcome my friends, this is Maniacal Incorporated, and recently I asked you what I should do with Mosus Menggamil Nuden, an 11-year-old child who I trapped in the walls of Siripfolds after he racked up 17 kills and knocked over our still twice. And you depraved geniuses, you came up with some truly brilliant and twisted suggestions, most of which related to killing him. But like a lot of you, I wanted to see Mosus come of age and take his rightful place in the fort's military. Now, as I wasn't willing to release him, in case he killed maybe the Queen or our necromancer mayor, keeping him alive in solitary confinement for the next 7 years would require a multi-story prison. It would be a sizable undertaking, and with Mosus starving, it would need to be done quickly. Are you thinking what I'm thinking? It's time for an 80s style montage. Behold, Her Majesty's Prison Menggamil. The upper floor's been expanded to hold food and drink stockpiles, and there's a hatch cover which forms an airlock controlling access to the lower level. I would like to just point out that this is one of the many hatch covers that our beloved Duke, Saxel Wheellearned, mandated during his reign, before Mosus killed him. Downstairs, besides the busiest thoroughfare in the fort, is an area that will eventually serve as a bedroom and a dining room. It still needs a bit of work, but like I said, Mosus is on the verge of starving to death, so we need to crack open the wall and let him out. Now, initially things looked good. Mosus got some food and drink, and after a while he ventured downstairs. This allowed me to close the hatch and expand upstairs further. I had big plans for his living quarters, and was having some windows made so that passers-by could look upon the terror of Siripfolds. However, the first hint that something was wrong came when Mosus's own mind turned against him. The worlds he conjured in his imagination to escape his loneliness and anger left him feeling empty. While a bed was finally installed for him and he was constantly drowsy, he would not sleep, and instead fixated on his old bedroom. "A skilled warrior is a sight to behold," he proclaimed to no one. Did he long to see the mighty hammer dwarves of Siripfolds? Or was he angry that he was locked away and deprived of the chance to improve his own skills? Soon after this he threw a tantrum in which he injured himself, and a rapid mental decline followed. The only satisfaction Mosus could find in his final moments of sanity was to think back on the creation of Ursus Gesicht, an artifact that he had made by murdering a dwarf, dragging his body to a tanner's rack, and rearranging his ribcage into an animal trap. I could do without all those creatures and that tangled greenery, he said, of the entire world and every living creature in it, before descending into a berserk rage. For those of you who don't know, when a dwarf goes berserk, that's the end of it. There is no coming back. They will attack everything in sight until they either starve to death or are themselves killed. And so, locked away in his prison with no one to fight, all that could be done now was to wait for Mosus to exhaust himself and die. But no. This isn't a fitting end for a skilled warrior like Mosus Menggamil Nuden. Can you hear them? Can you feel the ground shake as they approach? Make way for the elite Hammer Lords of Siripfolds, the victors of such great battles as the Cave Fishman Ambush, or that time a badger sow got into the bedrooms. They who fought beside the mighty battle pig Olin Cloister stakes, and fill the hall of heroes with statues of vanquished Ettins, Titans, and forgotten beasts. By and large, the military were less than enthusiastic when they were told why they had been assembled, and most of them left for the nearest inn. But 3 of them stuck around. Melville, a recent recruit looking for a kill to help him on the path to Hammerlord status. Taltig, the great hero of the cave fishman ambush in which he lost his right leg. And Aleth, a particularly violent individual. He overtook both Taltig and Mosus in notable kills during the recent round of rioting in the fort. Well, I'm sure they'll give Mosus the send-off he deserves. As soon as the militia dwarves burst through the door, the crazed, screaming child attacked them, but didn't manage to land a single hit. Taltig swung at Mosus with his crutch, shattering his right hand with it before tearing the liver with a jab from his artifact shield, Anshen Bakar. Aleth burst the child's lip open with a blow from his warhammer, reveling with sick glee as his skills improved. Mosus still stayed standing even after Melville's shield destroyed his left foot, but another blow from Anshen Bakar to the lungs dropped him. Having cast away his warhammer, Aleth drew back his steel boot and kicked Mosus full force in the head, smashing his skull apart in a shower of gore. The terror of Siripvolts was dead. And what a coincidence it is that Aleth should be the one to deliver the fatal blow, for during the last riot which broke out shortly after Mosus was locked in the walls, Aleth killed Unib Teallances, a legendary clothier, and Mosus's father. Now you may have seen Unib before. I made a video of his strange mood when he demanded silk but refused to use any of the boxes of it that I had due to a stockpile bug. Once I got some new rolls of silk made, Unib picked them up along with quite a lot of iron bars and created Distance Bristles, the Adventure of Infernos, an artifact coat. And just like his only son, this coat had a violent history. I put it on display in our library, where it was stolen by a guest, a human bleak zombie. I really should have suspected something as soon as he arrived. Now he was killed while trying to escape, but not before using the coat to beat an axe dwarf to death, severing his arm with it and knocking out all of his teeth. Statues to both of them now stand guard at the door of the library. I've recently been working on an area close to the library that will serve as a museum, and in light of the tragedy that this family has suffered and inflicted, I dedicated a room to the father and son duo, both crafters of the fort's most legendary artifacts, both struck down by Aleth. On a pedestal in the center of the room sits Ursus Gesicht, the decay of cobras. I hadn't found a suitable place to put it until now, and I'm sure the dwarves will be glad it's gone from the general stockpile. Along the top of the room there are statues of Mosus and Unib, and between them is a slab dedicated to Unib which recounts his creation of Distance Bristles and his death at the hand of Aleth. Later, I'm thinking of putting a statue of Aleth in here as well to document his part in the story. And at the south of the room is the final resting place of Mosus. I could have just placed his coffin in this room, but I thought it would be more fitting to bury him under the hatch cover taken from his prison, a hatch cover mandated by one of his victims, Duke Saxel, we learned. A slab stands guard over the hatch cover, informing the visitor that Mosus had a preference for tin, and that he murdered Olin Claspamazed. That's Olin on the pedestal in the middle of the room, just in case you're wondering. And if we drop down a level from here, we will find an empty tomb. So it took me a while to get this whole area ready, and while I was doing that, our queen, Aidenroof Abbys, personally carried Mosus's body to a corpse stockpile outside of the fort. Once I got the tomb set up, I tried to assign it to Mosus, but couldn't find his name on the list, and when I gave up searching, I found that his body was gone. Possibly taken to the Atom Smasher, or more likely, mistakenly buried somewhere in the fort's sprawling catacombs. Faint hints of this have escaped, and some even speak in hushed tones that Mosus Menggamil Nuden still lives. I'll just close up this hatch, insist that Mosus's body is buried down here, and call anyone that says otherwise insane. And so, time moves on. The upstairs storage area has been dismantled and a new hatch cover installed to help keep nosy dwarves out of Mosus's living quarters. The main door has been taken out and replaced with one of the glass windows that would have lined this wall, preserving the room as it was during Mosus's last battle. In the corner, a shoe and a sock can be seen on his dining chair. Most likely they were discarded by dwarves who visited the room shortly after Mosus was killed, but legend now holds that they belonged to the Little Terror himself, and they are looked on with awe and fear by passers-by. The Hammer Lords prepare to march forth once again from Siripvolz, this time to attack the Dwarven Tower of Gotharingd and seize its copy of Ushrir Attic Pages Interpreted, an account of the apprenticeship undertaken by our Necromancer Mayor. I'm only sad that we won't get to see Mosus join them someday and reach his full potential. He might have wrought untold destruction on the fort, but he sure was a source of excitement. And no doubt... What the hell was that? Dead body has been not another homicidal child. Well, with any luck, they'll stave off insanity long enough to reach adulthood. If they do, they'll be given a warhammer and pointed at the forgotten beasts sealed up in the caverns to see what they're really made of. After all, a skilled warrior is a sight to behold.